Welcome back to Between Bells, everyone. Cost of living here in the US getting higher and higher as inflation pushes up the prices of everything from food and gas and housing. Well, according to a recent Ipsos poll, more than two-thirds of people around the world are feeling that squeeze, and low-income households are feeling it the most. Joining us now, Garrett Boorojian, managing partner at WaveCapital Partners. Garrett, it's good to have you on the show. Wondering if you can break down some of the factors driving these expensive costs of living right now.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I mean, where can we begin? When you think about existing homeowners, are they thinking about refinancing? They might be able to get a better rate on their mortgage if they refinance, or home buyers, potential home buyers thinking about buying a home later this year. We're not seeing the same type of rates as we did last year where they were below threes. Now we're going to be seeing like mid 3.5 to even 4. So when it comes to buying a home, we're experiencing inflation, which is driving up mortgage rates. When you think about the cost of food, the cost of gas, the cost of clothing, shipping costs, shipping products from Asia to the United States, the longer they're at the docks before they can depart 2 trucks to get it to major retail stores, that's causing a lot of small businesses to deal with the effects of higher prices. And we're dealing with wage inflation. You know, wages can't keep up with high inflation, and that's really being a downer for employers.
I'm glad that you mentioned wage growth. We know it is failing to keep up with the rising inflation. How much longer do you think this can actually continue before the effects come detrimental for a lot of these low income families, as we mentioned, those who are really disproportionately affected by this?
Well, if you think about it, and I believe that, you know, low income workers and median income workers, they have to pay close attention. I mean, when you hear about the president's speech yesterday talking about how the Federal Reserve, their roles are to maximize employment and to stabilize prices. Well, if you think about the rate hikes, 3, maybe even 4 this year, that will pull down inflation, which will help those consumers and average to low income workers. But then you don't want to have a reverse effect of the economy, not being able to create jobs and not being able to have good paying jobs to provide for their families. When you think about your grocery store bill, I think that, you know, consumers should think about, if I don't have to buy in quantity, think about buying in quantity on a very select basis. If you know that you don't have to buy all the time, and make sure that you are cooking at home, make sure that you're going to various grocery store outlets, seeing what are competitive pricing and get the most out of your grocery shopping. And yes, cook at home. I mean, dining was up 6% last year. And if you think about people, it's a luxury to go out to eat. It's a luxury to travel. It may be even a luxury to get your hair cut or even go get a car wash. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. And I think that people have to think about their own budget and think about how could they save? How could they make their pocketbooks and bank accounts stretch further?
Yeah, Garrett, a lot of good insight there for families during this time. But also, you touched on something with the Fed interest rate hikes in 2022, kind of looking to solve some of the inflationary concerns that we're seeing. Do you think it could have the opposite effect and end up, unfortunately, in a recession?
I think potentially it's something we have to look at. I think that it could be where we end up in a recession because inflation's the highest in 40 years, 7%, according to CPI data in the month of December of last year, year over year. And when you think about how inflation has never been this bad in 40 years, plus on top of a pandemic, we didn't have a pandemic back in 1982. And so what else can the Fed do besides raise rates? But what the average American can do at home is talk to your neighbors, talk to your fellow business owners. You know, I'm in a business where I'm an entrepreneur and I think about creativity. I think about multiple revenue streams. And when I look at the local farmers market, you can learn from a lot of people. People are thinking about how can I open up a new small business to meet the needs of, you know, local people in their area. You know, clothes are expensive. So people at farmers markets, they're selling their own clothing line products. Organic farmers are thinking about how to sell products to local consumers where it can compete with big major retail stores. It's a lot of complication, but in a lot of confusion and chaos, there has to be calmness and there has to be clarity. And I think that people, and I'm a relationship builder, and I believe in building relationships. I believe in talking to people who have great ideas. And I think that it really boils down to what are people saying around you and coming to consensus, because a lot of great things can happen with entrepreneurship and an entrepreneurial spirit.
Really appreciate all of this perspective. That's Garrett Boorojian, managing partner at WaveCapital Partners.